3:12 a.m. when the Gulf woke up. At 3:12 a.m., the northern Persian Gulf isn't quiet, it's waiting. The surface looks calm, but beneath it sits one of the most weaponized stretches of water on the planet. Then the illusion breaks. The first impact against the hull of the Pacific Sentinel doesn't erupt like a cinematic explosion. It lands with a deep, metallic shock, like a cathedral bell struck from underwater. A shaped blast tears open steel below the waterline, sending a violent shudder through a vessel carrying millions of barrels of crude. Before alarms fully register on the bridge, a second unmanned craft cuts through the wake and slams into the ship's flank. Within seconds, the tanker begins to tilt. 5 degrees, then more. This isn't chaos. This is timing, precision, intent. What unfolds in that moment is not piracy or desperation. It's a calculated trigger. A message sent through fire and steel. The attack is designed not just to damage a ship, but to provoke a reaction. Because the real battlefield isn't the burning deck. It's invisible, it's electromagnetic, it's algorithmic, and it has been prepared for decades. The layered trap. Iran's denial network. For over 40 years, Iran has studied how to survive against a technologically superior adversary. Instead of building a mirror image navy, they built something else entirely. A layered denial system designed to choke movement, confuse sensors, and punish entry. Along the coastline and deep into the mountains, they constructed a network that doesn't rely on one system, but on many. Long-range radar scanning hundreds of miles, medium-range interceptors operating on separate frequencies, hidden missile batteries concealed inside reinforced tunnels carved into rock, each layer overlapping the next, each piece designed to ensure that no attacker sees the full picture at once. From the outside, it looks like a wall. Not a physical one, but a system of consequences. Any aircraft approaching is detected early. Any ship entering range is targeted from multiple angles. And any attempt to respond quickly is met with saturation. Too many signals, too many threats, too many decisions forced in too little time. That's the theory. That's the confidence behind the strike on the tanker. Force the United States to react, pull them into the confined, shallow waters of the Gulf. Then let the system do the rest, because in those waters, advantages shift. Large submarines lose stealth, surface vessels have limited maneuver space, and small, quiet platforms, fast boats, compact submarines, coastal missile units suddenly gain the upper hand. The plan is simple in concept. Create a crisis, force movement, then overwhelm the response. But what makes this moment different is that the response has already begun. Long before the first explosion, invisible first strike, cyber and signal manipulation. While physical defenses were being built along the coastline, something else was being assembled quietly, far from the Gulf. A network of access. Signals mapped, communication patterns studied. Not just the machines, but the way those machines talk to each other. Because modern defense systems don't operate in isolation, they rely on coordination. Data flows from radar to command centers, from command centers to launch units. Break that flow, and the system doesn't just weaken, it hesitates. And hesitation is everything. When the tanker is struck, there is no immediate rush of ships or aircraft, no visible surge of retaliation. Instead, there is a pause, a deliberate one, because the goal isn't to respond quickly, it's to respond correctly, to let the opposing system fully activate, to let radars power up, communication lines fill with data, operators shift into combat mode, because in doing so, they reveal themselves. Every active sensor becomes a beacon. Every transmission becomes a coordinate. Then, quietly, the first real move is made. It doesn't come from the sea or the sky, but from behind screens, thousands of miles away. A coordinated cyber operation begins, not to destroy systems, but to manipulate them, to alter what they see without them realizing it. Radar displays continue to function. Operators see ships, signals, normal patterns. But something subtle has changed. Certain signatures are filtered out. Certain movements ignored. It's not blindness, it's selective vision. At the same time, communication links begin to strain. Satellite relays degrade. Data packets fail to synchronize. Units that rely on centralized commands begin to lose clarity. Not entirely disconnected, but no longer certain. And in a system built on coordination, uncertainty spreads faster than any missile. Decoys and dilemma, forcing the system to break itself. Then comes the next phase. From beyond the horizon, a wave of small, fast-moving aerial decoys launches towards the coastline. They aren't designed to destroy anything. They carry no explosive payload. Their purpose is deception. Each one mimics the radar signature of something far more dangerous. Large bombers, strike formations, incoming attack packages. To the defense network, it looks like the beginning of a major assault. And the system reacts exactly as it was trained to. Missiles launch. Expensive, high-performance interceptors designed to eliminate advanced aircraft accelerate into the sky. One after another, dozens of them, each costing millions, each targeting something that isn't real. Within minutes, a significant portion of the defensive inventory is gone, expended on ghosts. But the cost isn't just financial, it's positional. Every radar that tracks those decoys must emit. Every emission can be detected. And once detected, it becomes a target. Now the dilemma begins. Electronic warfare aircraft position themselves just outside the immediate engagement zone. They don't fire weapons, they project interference. Focused, high-energy disruption aimed directly at the radar systems guiding the defense network. Screens begin to distort. Signals become harder to interpret. Operators are forced into a decision. Keep systems active and risk being targeted, or shut them down and lose visibility. There is no correct choice, because the moment a radar stays active, it becomes a beacon for incoming anti-radiation missiles. Precision weapons designed to follow those emissions back to their source. And if the radar shuts down, the missile doesn't lose its path. It remembers. It continues toward the last known position, guided by stored data and onboard sensors. Within minutes, key nodes of the defense network begin to disappear. Not randomly, but systematically. The eyes of the system are being removed one by one. Synchronized collapse, hidden strikes, and system failure. And while this unfolds, something else is already in motion. Something launched much earlier. Long before the decoys appeared, before the jamming began, a separate wave had been sent from beneath the sea. Cruise missiles traveling low and slow, hugging terrain, staying below radar coverage. They don't rely on speed, they rely on timing. Because their arrival is synchronized with everything else. As the final radar systems are suppressed and the defensive network reaches peak confusion, those missiles reach the coastline. Their targets are not obvious structures, not large bases or visible installations. They aim for something more critical: hidden infrastructure, ventilation shafts, access points, entrances to underground facilities carved into mountains. So locations that house anti-ship missile batteries and command nodes. Places designed to survive direct attack. But these missiles aren't guessing. They navigate using stored terrain data, matching real-world visuals with digital models. They adjust in flight. They correct their path. And when they arrive, they do so almost simultaneously. The result isn't a series of isolated strikes. It's a coordinated collapse. Underground facilities are sealed. Launch systems destroyed before they can be activated. Fast attack craft bases neutralized. Command structures disrupted beyond immediate repair. What was meant to be a layered defense becomes fragmented, isolated elements with no coordination. And still, the sequence continues. Aircraft now enter an environment that, hours earlier, would have been lethal. With the primary defenses degraded, they operate with precision. Heavier munitions target hardened structures. Smaller, guided weapons eliminate surviving mobile units. What remains of the system is not engaged as a whole. It's dismantled piece by piece. Even beneath the water, the expected counterattack fails to materialize as planned. Smaller submarines positioned to exploit shallow waters lose coordination without reliable communication links. Detection systems deployed from the air begin to map their movements. The hunters become visible. And once visible, they are no longer the advantage they were meant to be. On land, additional strikes target the communication backbone supporting unmanned systems. Relay nodes are destroyed, control links severed. Any remaining unmanned attack platforms in the water lose guidance. They drift. They circle. They become ineffective. Control of the system. Winning. Before the first shot. What began as a calculated provocation turns into something else entirely. A systemic breakdown. In the final phase, an attempt is made to reassert control through a direct, high-speed missile strike. Ballistic weapons launched toward naval assets in the region. Fast, powerful, designed to overwhelm through speed and trajectory. But this layer too has an answer. Interceptor systems detect, track, and engage them during descent. The engagement is brief, the outcome decisive. Within a few hours, the balance has shifted completely. The initial attack achieved its immediate objective: damage, disruption, attention. But it also triggered a response that was already designed, already prepared, already waiting for the right conditions. Not a reaction driven by urgency, but a sequence driven by understanding. Because modern conflict at this level isn't decided by who fires first. It's decided by who controls the system, who sees clearly, who communicates effectively, who forces the opponent into decisions where every option leads to loss. What unfolded in the Gulf wasn't just an exchange of weapons, it was an engineered sequence, a chain reaction where each step made the next one inevitable, where perception was shaped before force was applied, where the battlefield was defined long before the first impact. And in the end, the most important outcome wasn't the destruction itself, it was the demonstration. A demonstration that even the most fortified, layered, and carefully constructed defensive network can be undone, not by overwhelming it directly, but by understanding it, mapping it, and then turning its own logic against it. Because the real power in modern warfare isn't just firepower. It's timing. It's integration. It's the ability to make the enemy act exactly as you expect, and then ensure that every action they take moves them closer to defeat. The tanker burns for a while longer. Smoke rises into the early morning sky. But the real story isn't the fire. It's everything that followed it. The invisible battle. The silent sequence. The moment where a system built over decades unraveled in hours. And somewhere far from the coastline, operators watch it all unfold. Not with surprise, but with confirmation. The sequence worked. The response held. The system did exactly what it was designed to do. If this breakdown gave you a clearer view of how modern conflicts are actually fought, beyond explosions and headlines, make sure to support the channel. Stay tuned and don't miss what comes next.